Hi, my name is Janine. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to hear you speak. I've seen you speak on YouTube and watched YouTube videos. So I think you very accurately and enthusiastically painted a picture of what's really happening as you described. New economy movement kind of coming up through the water table, as you said. As someone who follows it, it's become increasingly difficult to keep track of all the developments all over the country. It's really exciting. And I'm wondering if you think that, so that's like the on the ground side, right? Like the materializing new economy. And I'm wondering if you think that the flip side, like the academic, intellectual side of, forming a new economy model and really nailing down the theoretical framework and paradigm, developing that as a field, if you think that's keeping pace with the real on the ground movement building and materialization of a new economy, and whether or not you think that's important to do.
I did question whether after a long day and a long dinner it was appropriate to answer questions, but thank you for that very good question. We have there's a wonderful leader named Randall Robertson, who is the head of the anti-apartheid movement, who used to say, if you want a politician to lead, you need to form a parade and they will find their way to the front. And I think there's some truth to that to almost all institutions. So the answer to your question, is the academic world moving along quickly enough to address these changes? The answer is no. And there are huge numbers of people who have spent so much time in their lives and careers thinking about things in a certain way that it's very disruptive for them to start thinking about things in a new way, and so they're not inclined to do that. To create that movement, that sense of necessity, requires the kind of leadership that you're showing here and the kind of leadership that I'm witnessing from students across the country who say what we are learning in school simply is not lining up with what we are seeing with our own eyes about the future which we are entering. And we are asking you, and in some cases we are demanding, that there be a better correlation between these things. And I don't want to sound bleak, because I think that there are some people rising within the academic ranks who are tackling new questions in exciting ways. But the problem is always at the top. The problem is always the complacency of the people who have become established under the existing order. The French aristocracy in 1788 had no idea there was any problem. And there are many other examples in history of people who thought everything was just fine right before there was a dramatic change. So I think we need to keep that in mind. We were talking at dinner, for dramatic change to take place, you need two things. You need new ideas that are being brought forward, perhaps it seems prematurely, and then you need a crisis that creates the opportunity for those ideas to be seized upon as a solution. So the work that you're doing, it seems to me, is not only are you moving things forward, but you're also laying the groundwork for what happens when people increasingly perceive the crisis. That is a critical role, and one that I want to compliment you on playing.
Anyone else?
I'll do two more, and then you are liberated.
Hi, my name is Graham Bullock, a professor at Davidson College in North Carolina, and also Princeton. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Princeton alumni. Just to follow up on that crisis point, we've been laying, and you've been a major player in laying the groundwork for these sort of innovative new economy ideas for many decades now, going back to the 80s, 90s. And we've had several crises in the last 5 or 10 years. The financial crisis, 2008, the BP oil spill, Hurricane Katrina, and then most recently, Hurricane Sandy. And I think many feel that we have not taken advantage of those crises effectively. That, as Rahm Emanuel said, that we did waste those crises. And so I'm curious, do you agree with that assessment? If so, why do you think they were wasted? And if not, what is your evidence that to show that we have not wasted them?
Well, let me tell you a quick story. In about 2004, I went to Burden Hall at Harvard Business School to hear a discussion of the tech collapse. You know, remember WorldCom and all those companies that perished, and Enron, all the different companies. And there was a Harvey Goldschmidt from the SEC and the head of Ernst & Young and the head of research for Harvard Business School, and they said, today we are going to be asking two questions. The first, how did this happen? The second is, why didn't we know about it? And after I listened to about 45 minutes of presentation, this is going to surprise you, but I got my hand up, and I was called upon, always a mistake, and I said, it seems to me that we are missing a third question, which is, what is happening now that we do not see? Now, this was before the mortgage crisis and before the subsequent collapses, so I completely agree that we have missed several major opportunities, but you may have noticed that they are coming with increasing frequency. And eventually the people at the top are going, one of the things that I find amazing, if you read the Financial Times and Economist, places like that, is the increasing number of admissions that in very fancy language say, we have no idea what's going on. And now let me give you an example where I think that the sustainability community missed an opportunity. We were so focused on certain issues like climate change that when the collapse of the market came, Lehman Brothers and so forth, and then Dodd-Frank was being drafted, we did not have a set of actionable recommendations for the United States Congress to introduce some of these ideas quickly into securities law. So you had this very strange image of congressional staffers running around and saying, what do we put in Dodd-Frank? Anybody got any ideas? I know. Let's put in conflict minerals. That's a key issue. And they wrote it into the law. But we weren't ready yet with an alternative set, and we weren't organized, and we were focused on the wrong thing. My hope is that when the next collapse comes, there's an article I read yesterday that increased volatility is what everyone is predicting for the future. And you know what that means. That means up, and that means rapid down. And very rapid down can be very bad. So we need to be ready. So it is the repetition of crises that eventually creates the opportunity. You never know which is going to be the one that does it. Superstorm Sandy did start to change thinking. Of course, 20 years too late, but it started thinking. I hate to think that we require 2 or 3 more of those, or that we require 2 or 3 more financial collapses. But for those of you who have studied the structural problems, you know there is no wishing them away.
Okay, one more. Hand over here.
All right, that's good. We're good.